The USFL was really fascinating to me last year because you're dealing with a limited roster. And this year, they're still dealing with a limited roster. But in watching the USFL over the weekend, I got to talk with Birmingham Stallions coach Skip Holtz. And one of the things that he expressed to me was, RJ, the free agent pool this year is as good as the guys we were drafting in the first round last year. That means the quality of player has gotten so much better just in a year, especially with the attention that Kevontae Turpin's rise in USFL had done, and Pro Bowler with Dallas Cowboys will do that for you. But we've had a number of guys that played in this league that are on NFL rosters as we speak. The defensive player of the year was on the Birmingham Stallions last year. He's a Chicago Bear now. That's a great way to get into, I think, my USFL power rankings going into week 2 after week 1. And we're just going to start at number 1 and work our way down to number 8. Number 1, the Birmingham Stallions. My goodness, they are 12-1 since the start of last season. 1 loss, and they won the championship. They looked like the defending champs. They lost their starting quarterback in their week 1 game against the New Jersey Generals for a consecutive year. And for a consecutive year, they had a guy come off the bench that could pick them up and take them where they wanted to go. Last year, that guy starting was Alex Magoo, who was out after 8 snaps. Jamar Smith came off the bench, led them to a comeback win, or I should say a second half win, because it's 14 up at halftime. And then this year, Jamar Smith goes down with a dislocated finger. Alex Magoo comes in off the bench, has 119 total yards and a TD. They lost their best offensive player, not at quarterback, in Marlon Williams. Wide receiver had the most catches and the most TDs on the team last year. And they didn't miss a beat. They had guys like Austin Watkins coming in, Myron Mitchell coming in. You got to see CJ Marable. Didn't really have to use Bo Scarborough that much. And then the defense that John Chavis filled it is as good as it was last year. They beat New Jersey 27-10 in front of 20,000 fans at Protective Stadium. Birmingham is a football city, tremendous football city. I had a lot of fun watching this game play out. But right now, it's really difficult to see how the Stallions don't at least make it back to the playoffs, if not are the team to beat when we're talking about the USFL championship. I think the comp for college right now, if we were going to do this, would be Georgia. It doesn't matter who the quarterback really is. It doesn't matter because the defense is so good. And you got guys like Scooby Wright leading that defense, who frankly didn't have to do a whole lot in that game, but also had to leave the game a little bit early in to make way for a calf strain he had suffered early in the year. But my goodness, man, I don't understand how we're going to keep talking about Birmingham Stallions every week, but we're going to try. Certainly got to try it. That's the best team in the USFL. Number 2, I got the Philadelphia Stars, who, frankly, look every bit as good offensively as they did last year. Case Cookis comes back for a second year after starting the year last year as a second stringer. He was 20 of 29, 212 yards, 3 TDs, 27-23 win against the Memphis Showboats in front of 30,000 fans in Memphis. Remember, the USFL has expanded to 4 hub cities after just 1 last year. Memphis, Canton, and Detroit fall in with Birmingham. They got dudes on the outside too. Devin Gray, a former Cincinnati wide receiver, led All-Stars receivers with 77 yards on 9 catches. And that's ridiculous when you think about, they got Corey Coleman out there too. Yes, Biletnikoff Award winner Corey Coleman at Baylor. And they got Jordan Sewell, who was their leading receiver last year. He didn't catch a pass until the second half of that game. And oh, by the way, Chris Rowland, a wide receiver on that team last year, playing a little tailback this year. That dude broke Jerry Rice's HBCU record for receptions in a season at Tennessee State with 104. So Bart Andrus has what he needs. In addition to, my goodness, they got Matt Colburn out of Wake Forest and Dexter Williams out of Notre Dame in the backfield. The offense is going to be the offense. Defensively, Channing Stribling out of Michigan continues to be what I think is the best defender in this league, especially 2023. He had a pick, right? He had 7 last year. He looks like he's going to get at least that many this year. Number 3, I got the Michigan Panthers. They are already halfway to their 2022 win total under Mike Nolan. They beat the Houston Gamblers 29-13 in a comeback victory. Josh Love, who kind of bounced around the USFL last year with the Maulers and then with the Panthers, was out there throwing darts, 18 of 20 for 215 yards with 3 TDs. He also threw a 34-yard touchdown pass to Joe Walker, who had 6 catches for 105 yards and made up for a muff punt that led to a Gambler's touchdown. shout out to the Panthers, who are looking like challenging in the North Division. Number 4 on the list, I got the New Orleans Breakers. Breakers quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson became the league's first 300-yard passer. And frankly, he was helped because in the first half, the Breakers didn't look good. As a matter of fact, New Orleans head coach John DeFilippo had said this was the worst half of football or the most painful half of football that he's ever been a part of offensively. But the defense was so good against the Pittsburgh Maulers. They didn't allow a single TD, even coming up with a 4th and 1 stop on the goal line for a turnover on downs. Really, really interested to see what McLeod Bethel Thompson can do in this league. That is a 2-time Canadian Football League Grey Cup Award winner and a guy that's passed for over 4,000 yards as a professional. He's 34. I believe he's the oldest guy in the USFL too. And shout out to him, who is partnered with Chinaka Hodge, who is the head writer for Marvel's Ironheart. Yes, about Riri Williams. I got to talk with her and McLeod about their partnership and how she's working. And she's living in Birmingham, supporting her partner with her child, their child, Aziza. Look for that story on foxsports.com. Number 5 on the list for me, the Memphis Showboats. I think Todd Haley has some work to do and figure out his quarterback situation. We went back and forth between Brady White and, my goodness, I did not think that we would be talking about Brady White starting in Memphis again, especially as a professional being a Memphis Tiger, but I also could see it. You just want a little bit more consistency. Now, they had former Arkansas tailback Alex Collins doing a lot of the work on the ground, and when they could get the ball in his hands, either him catching it or him running it, they looked okay to good. But it's Carnell Lake's defense that I think vaults them to this number 5 spot. Carnell Lake, who is a former Defensive Player of the Year for the Pittsburgh Steelers and another member of that Pittsburgh Steeler family that Todd Haley is a part of. His defense sacked Case Cook 5 times. I mean, 2 of them came from Jordan Williams, and linebacker Greg Reeves. I think if the offense can catch up to the defense, they can challenge in the South Division. And certainly them being a home team, one of the 4 home teams in the USFL, can't hurt anything. Birmingham won the championship last year, played all its games Birmingham until the playoffs. Number 6 on the list for me, Houston Gamblers. Houston quarterback Kenji Bahar is the guy, but you need more out of him. You need more than 109 passing yards from your starting quarterback. Outside of that, they look good running the ball. Former Utah and Oklahoma tailback TJ Pledger scored 2 TDs, and rushed for 41 yards in the game. At one point, Pledger was averaging a TD every 4.5 carries. There's room for improvement on both sides of the ball for them, but, I mean, it's after week 1. The New Jersey Generals at number 7 might be the one team that many people didn't expect to be in the bottom half of the rankings after week 1 because they played so well last year. But Mike Riley's got a quarterback situation he's got to figure out. He started DeAndre Johnson. The offense didn't go as well. He tried to play Dakota Prukop. The offense didn't go as well, but they're still able to run the ball, right? They got USFL reigning offensive player of the year, Darius Victor, back, and the Generals rushed for 197 yards against the Birmingham Stallions, who, as I said, that's stout defense. So he figures out the quarterback position. I think they're going to be okay. And then rounding out 8 is the Pittsburgh Maulers, who frankly are a good football team. They just need a quarterback to take control of their offense. Quarterback James Morgan coming out of Florida International, like Alex Magoo and Troy Williams, who I last saw at Utah and ended up transferring to Santa Monica, combined for 78 passing yards against New Orleans. You can't win too many football games if your quarterbacks are going to pass for 78 yards combined. But the Maulers also scored the first defensive and special team TDs of the USFL season. Matter of fact, former Alabama linebacker and first-round draft pick Reuben Foster shot the gap, knocked ball loose from tailback. I believe Anthony Jones, New Orleans Breakers running back, had the misfortune of fumbling the ball. Kayava Tizino gets on top of it, and they get 6 in the end zone the hard way. Really great story for Foster, who had not played football in over 4 years. Like, we're talking going back to October of 2018, and now he's the number 10 in the middle of that defense. Take for that what you will. I also think that the razzle-dazzle is going to pay for them. I think that if they are able to capitalize on special teams in this league, and they should be, with returns being such a big deal of it and your average field position being around 35-yard line, they ought to be more than capable of making a run at the playoffs. Also, shout out to Ray Horton, who had his first head coaching gig this season with the Maulers, like John DeFilippo, and just managed to come out on losing end here. And I asked him, Coach, what does it mean to you to have your first game as the guy in charge? And by the way, his son, Jaron Horton, is the defensive coordinator and assistant head coach. He says, hey, man, it's players. It's not about me. I wanted to win for them. We got to be a little bit better here and there, but they're close. Man, oozes class. I really enjoy every last one of these guys that I've got to meet. A few more coaches that I'm yet to meet, but this league is exciting. It's fun. I'm having a great time with the rules. I'm having a great time with the way that people want to keep the game going. And these coaches are very much interested in you, fans, watching the games and enjoying their teams. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.